authenticity. Joining me now is Eric Geller. He's a cybersecurity reporter for Politico Pro, and Tara Maller, a former CIA military analyst who is now the spokesperson and senior policy advisor for the Counter-Extremism Project. Good to see both of you. Thank you for being with both of us. Tara, let me start with you. We haven't got confirmation of this yet, though people are talking about it as if it's true. As a former CIA analyst, what do you think about this? You think it's true?
Sure. Well, the CIA isn't going to comment on the authenticity of the documents. If it is true, it's troublesome. It's troublesome because of the quantity of material released. It's troublesome because of the quality and details of the material released. And it's not troublesome, to be frank, from a privacy perspective domestically. It's troublesome because it's going to undermine potential counterterrorism operations, and it's also giving information to potential enemies, adversaries, and hackers out there to exploit these tools, at their own use. And so I think it's putting, everybody at greater damage and greater risk. Whoever is responsible for this needs to, be caught and punished for this release of information.
I would have thought after the leaks at the CIA over time that they would have methods in place, but I guess a leaker's a leaker, right? You can get around technology.
Absolutely. A leaker is a leaker, and this is a very, very high caliber leak in terms of the amount of information and in terms of what was released, if in fact it is authentic. I think this even goes sort of beyond the Snowden release in terms of, the quantity of material and the level of detail, if it is all true. And I think that you're going to see the intelligence community investigate and look into, if this is authentic information, how in fact it was given to WikiLeaks and how they obtained this material. It could also be from a foreign source or a foreign adversary. It could be that the Russians or another country was able to obtain this information if it's accurate and authentic, not necessarily somebody from the inside of our own intelligence community.
Eric, I noticed on your webpage you ask people if they want to contact you securely, which many may want to do, particularly with journalists, that they should use apps like Signal and WhatsApp, which are encrypted. Now, WikiLeaks says the CIA and British intelligence are capable of bypassing the security in those kinds of apps even before the app itself can encrypt it. I didn't know before these leaks that was possible. What's your take on this?
Well, Ali, the key thing here is that if you can compromise the phone directly, it doesn't really matter what app you're using. When you press send on that message, it goes through Signal or WhatsApp or whatever app you're using, and it gets transmitted over the internet using end-to-end encryption, which the CIA can't break. On the other hand, if the CIA can compromise your phone directly, it can grab that data before it even enters that system that Signal uses. So this is not necessarily something that is new to security reporters or security analysts. We've known for years.
Well, we see it in all the spy movies, right? That somebody puts a thing in where you actually compromise the phone as opposed to the apps.
That's right, and I think that the big story here is that as more people are using encryption, this is the way that the CIA and the FBI and NSA have to do things. They've got to get onto the device directly because they can't grab this thing in transit for the most part.
All right, Tara, the information, if it's valid, again, we haven't been able to authenticate it yet. What's the bigger danger here? The spies in our own agencies who think it's okay or valuable to let this information out, or the actual information that's getting to our adversaries? Is there anything in here that's actually worrisome because someone can use it against us?
It is worrisome because our counterintelligence operations, our counterterrorism operations rely not just on human intelligence, not just on signals intelligence, not just on open source intelligence, but in this day and age, they rely on being able to do this sort of cyber or technological intelligence gathering. And if individuals and terrorist organizations or on other fronts overseas are aware of the sort of applications or devices that are more or less susceptible to intelligence being able to glean that information, they're going to avoid those information channels. They're going to use other mechanisms. They may, in some cases, revert back to, face-to-face channels of communication where we won't be able to get this information when the next attack is being planned. So, there are not allegations here that any of this was being used domestically in this release. This was all about foreign intelligence collection, and I think it will have implications if it is true because it's giving information directly into the hands of our adversaries.
So Donald Trump says mail things if you don't want anybody to intercept them. Eric, Jim Comey, FBI director, spoke at a cybersecurity conference outside of Boston today, and he talked about how how hard it's going to be to keep up with these security threats, as Tara was talking about, and maintain privacy. Listen to what he said.
The cyber threats we face are enormous. I don't know if we can stay ahead of them. And I think to say otherwise would be hubris. We need to get better and faster at sharing information in appropriate ways We need to make sure we have the right people on board to help us fight that threat, and we need trust between the government and the private sector.
So, Eric, these are mutually exclusive goals. The FBI, the CIA, intelligence agencies trying to find better ways, as Tara has said, to get into people's conversations, and those of us who have just learned that perhaps your TV can spy on you. Where's privacy now? Is there any way? Can I have a private conversation with you somehow? Not on TV.
Well, it's difficult. I mean, there's no perfectly private space. I mean, you know, the CIA, if they can get your TV to record you, you can't even just close all the doors to your house and have a private conversation. I think the other thing here is that this is not just privacy versus security. This is also security versus security. I mean, using Signal, using encrypted apps, that's not just a way to protect yourself from the FBI if you are a drug lord or a terrorist. That's also a way to protect yourself from stalkers, abusive ex-spouses, people who are trying to surveil you in illegal ways. So these apps provide a way to protect yourself, and certainly other forms of security provide a way for you to protect yourself from people who don't have permission to spy on you. And so I think what we're going to see is Director Comey grappling with not just the privacy concerns on the other side, but also the security concerns on the other side. It's not just national security.
Right. People can get into your stuff. There are a range of dangers. All right. Great to talk to both of you. Thanks so much, Tara Maller and Eric Geller, on this conversation.